Hi guys, and welcome to episode 8 of Life on the Outside. Now, I'm so sorry about the breaks between episodes, guys. I did say that I'd try and get around to these every single week. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get that done. I've been a little bit slack in that area. But today's episode is called Getting Back on the Horse, and of course the idea for me is to get back onto these and getting these done, but it also applies to people trying to lose weight as well. And it's so difficult sometimes to deal with the psychological aspect when it comes to failure and getting back up again. And that's what I want to talk about this episode. Now, if I was to be dead honest, I'll tell you that I haven't been doing fantastically when it comes to my health over the last couple of weeks. I haven't been going to as many training sessions, and I've been a little bit looser with my diet. I haven't put on any weight, which is fantastic. It looks like my metabolism is working, which is great. But at the same time, it's not a good habit to fall into. So I made a resolution this week to get straight back on it, make sure that I'm training every single day, make sure that I'm still keeping on top of my meals, keeping on top of my diet. And it's definitely put me right back onto the same mindset that I was in, because there was a period of time last week where I got a little bit freaked out. I really did. I got a little scared, and yeah, if I can't admit it here, I can't admit it anywhere, right? So I got a little panicky, and I thought that I might be moving into my old ways and going back into old habits and starting to move backwards instead of forwards. And I guess that in itself sort of inspired me to go, right, screw that. I'm going to go straight back to where I want to be, which is eating well and exercising every single day and moving forward with my health. And what it did was it reminded me of what it was like back when I was 136 kilos and trying to, figure out how to get back up again after knocking myself down. And so much has changed during that period of time for me, which is a fantastic thing, but at the same time, it's not the same case for everyone. I remember how it was where, I would start up a diet, I'd start up an exercise regime, and be really, really fervent about it for the first 2 weeks, and then start to slack off a little bit and start to lose the passion that I had for it before. And inch by inch, I started to lose ground on what I thought was a good thing, and then those feelings and those thoughts started to creep up again, and you begin to panic and you begin to fear the idea of going straight back to where you were, and you give up. It's the classic story, and it's the reason why so many people have all of the information in front of them, but they can't move forward. It's purely because they can't seem to pass through the fear and pass through the initial stage of panic that comes with a mistake. Because we're going to make mistakes, guys, all the time. No matter how many times you try and do this perfect, it's never going to happen. There's going to be a period of time where a mate invites you out for a drink, or you go to a friend's party and food seems to be in the way, or there's some times where you're going to be, I can't be bothered going to the gym today. Something hurts, something stretches at the moment. I really don't feel like exercising whatever I can. And it's a natural part of life. Complacency is a natural part of this. Like, you got to understand that it's not going to go away purely because you said to yourself, no more, this is it, it's going to finish, it's going to be done. I really wish I could say to you guys that it's right, like you make the change and then you never look back, but ultimately we're human, guys. We really are, and we do make mistakes all the time. And if you try and be that perfect person, if you try and work out that perfect regime where you're not mucking around and you're going straight down the line with absolutely everything, you're setting yourself up for failure because you're human. And it's as simple as that. You're going to make mistakes. And the difference is how many times you get back up. And ultimately, that's the only thing that's kept me going through this period of time, is I've made mistakes. I've made countless mistakes, even through this process, even through getting down to where I am now. I've made mistakes. And I've eaten bad things, and I've, been slack for a week or so, and then gone straight back on top of it because that's what my head says to me for me to do. And that's really what saved me, is that message in my head saying, you know what, I can stuff up as many times, I can stuff up 10,000 times, but just as long as I get up after each and every single time. And this is the second, like, if you don't get up after 10,001, then that's when you've lost. That's when you've lost the battle. And it's so easy to get trapped into that. It's so easy to get trapped into the idea of going, you know what, I've said this to myself so many times before. I said that I'm going to change, but I haven't. So, I may as well give up. I may as well finish this off now. I may as well accept my lot as, a fat person. That defeatist attitude keeps so many people at bay. And they've just got to realize the fact that if you have the practical application in front of you, it doesn't mean squat unless you have the mental capacity to say, you know what, I am going to stuff up this week, but at the same time, I'm going to get straight back up after I do. And I don't know about you guys, but like I've had periods of times where like I've gone, right, screw it, I'm going to go to Macca's, or screw it, I'm going to go to KFC, I'm going to eat this, I'm going to eat that. And then straight after you get that fat remorse, you know, that feeling in your stomach, you're like, oh, I should not have done this. That feeling, use it as a motivator. Don't use it as a defeatist attitude. Don't use it as a sign to stop. Use it as a sign to get right back on top of it. Because as soon as you recognize it more as a motivation than a deterrent, it becomes your friend, because you're like, right, oh, I did this. All right, I've got to get straight back on top of it. I've got to make sure that I don't do this for a while yet. I've got to make sure that I try and process this as much as possible and get as far as I can before this happens again. And it's like, right, I'm taking a step back, but you know what? I'm going to fight for another 5 steps forward. And then take another step back, and I'm going to fight for another 4 or 5 steps, see if I can get somewhere with this. And it happens. It does, guys. You're human. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to slip up. And you just got to realize that it's okay. It's all right. You know, you're going to be able to get through this if you just keep on getting up. Okay, 2 more episodes before I finish off with this, guys, but thank you so much for listening to this. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helps out with any way that it possibly can. All right, and remember, you can, and you're not alone. See you next week.